Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
It's June.
It is.
And that means it's summer at the library.
It surely is. It's one of our favorite times of the year.
What's our theme this year?
It is Read Around Florida.
Which I have to admit, I was a little surprised how much there was. I don't know why.
So much.
Yeah.
So much that we had already, that we've read before about Florida.
We did.
That was really cool.
Spoiler alert, that's sort of where we're heading today.
Oh.
But I wanted to start by asking you a question.
Okay.
I want to know, what are some of your favorite, hidden gems around Florida? Because I am a transplant.
Yep.
But you are a lifelong, you know the secrets.
Yeah.
So
Do I?
Yes.
Do I?
I think you do.
Okay.
I think you know more than you admit to.
Okay.
But tell us, what are some of the spaces and places we should try to hit up?
Okay. I will say that I am actually really big into where the tourists go. I thoroughly enjoy that. I know some people are I've lived here. I've never done that. But I love the Tico Line streetcar system that's in Ybor. And kind of, I don't know, downtownish.
Kind of near, Ybor's kind of near the Tampa area for anyone who's not from around here.
Super fun and free to use. And it's a little trolley. Just trolley along. I love that. I love Bach Tower. I think Bach Tower is absolutely stunning. Alligator Farm, because Florida, hello. Alligator
Obviously.
Farm, right? And I love Parksdale in Plant City.
Oh, that's the famous, super famous strawberry stand.
Yep. And the Strawberry Festival every March. Parksdale is always there. And fun fact, on the Visit Florida website, our Phosphate Museum is actually listed.
That's so cool.
I agreed. So those are some.
Our Phosphate Museum is just the cutest little museum.
Yep.
It's free.
Yep.
And they literally, so we always tell people, oh, you can go dig for shark's teeth. And they're well, at some point, don't you run out? And it's no. Every year they bring in that huge truck, and it's an event.
Yes.
People get so excited when the new, it's very exciting.
And some of the stuff that people have found, crazy.
Yeah. It's really cool. I would definitely tell you to check that out. I agree.
What about you? Because I know that you love your roadside attractions.
I do. I'm a little obsessed with roadside attractions. And I'm really grateful that my family is always up for a strange adventure. But so when we first moved here, there's always kind of the jokes about Florida. Right. And so one of the, I didn't have friends yet. And so one of the first things I did was I Googled Florida roadside attractions, and I made myself a list. And over the years, we've just slowly been checking stuff off. If we're going to be near it, we'll take a small detour and we'll go see it. So I know last year as a group, us and our coworkers, we stopped at the My Girl house.
So cute.
And we all took our picture in front of it because we had film club and we did My Girl. So we kind of made it part of a little work project. So that was exciting for me. But also the Lake Wales area, they have a thing called Spook Hill.
Yes.
And it's a gravity hill. And so you drive your car up the hill a little bit and you put it in neutral and it rolls back, but then it rolls up a hill. It's the weirdest thing.
I was a teenager when my mom and stepdad took me, and I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. It's actually really fun.
It is really fun. We did it several times, took our pictures in front of the signs because that's how nerdy I am. And then when my father was visiting, the year he turned 70, I thought, what better thing to do than to take him to see the Weeki-Wachee mermaids, which was really fun. And we also went swimming in the springs and stuff like that was there. So I have officially been able to swim in some of the Florida springs.
Fun.
So that I think is a cool thing to add to my list. So one of my favorites, though, we were picking somebody up from the airport. And we took a detour, and there is this person that goes by the name of Hong Kong Willie. And yes, you can Google it. You can walk around on the property. It is just covered in junk art. And you can just look, you can take pictures, you can buy stuff. When we pulled up, all of a sudden it was just your eyeballs are slammed with just colorful stuff. And you're what is it all? And it was really cool. So I just love that there's all these random things out there. And the most recent one that we did, I had a flyer in my kitchen for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so finally up comes a day where I'm like, we can actually go because this thing only happens once a month.
Okay.
And it was always just not a good Saturday for us. So for 3 years, I was like, can't go again. We had this free Saturday. We went and saw the Cypress Gardens water ski team.
Oh.
Yes. So it's in like the Winter Haven area. They do a free show every third Saturday. And it was such a joy. And we just, we brought our little chairs in a bag. We brought a picnic and we watched all of these water skiers. And before the official, like the main event starts, in the beginning, they also had the work in progress show, which were like some, kids or like little groups that were working on the craft and
Fun.
like the show, hoping to eventually get to the main stage, which was really neat to see.
Yeah.
It was, like one of the duos was a mother and son.
Oh.
And I thought that was really cool.
All right. So, Bethany's picking up a new hobby. I'm kidding.
I'm just saying, like, don't be afraid to like see what kind of weird stuff's out there. And if I ever am within like a 10-mile radius of the giant ball of string, I'm going to make sure I go see it.
That's hilarious.
That's all I'm saying.
That's something that like part of me might take for granted because I live in Florida, is that like other places don't have things like that, or like they have their own versions. But I'm just like, no, like to me, I'm like, no, this is totally normal.
Right. Because for you, it's always been here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to think about.
Well, and with where I'm from, like, I would always tell people if you have a chance to go see Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
But like, I've been there a million times.
Right.
It's cool. But I done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done been there once or twice.
Well, so my other question I had for you is, do you have like a favorite beach or maybe a place to hike or drive to?
Oh, for sure. Gonna sound real Floridian of me. My favorite place to visit is Disney World. If you know me, you know that I have a Disney pass and I put it to use. And fun fact, I actually hate hiking in Florida. To me, everything is flat and I feel like there's nothing to see. But I also grew up here. So when I do go to other states, I do appreciate a good hike. My favorite place to drive is with my mom to Gainesville. We used to have football tickets. We were season ticket holders and we would go to the games, and that was like our thing. And the drive going back roads, because Florida has a lot of back roads, but now everybody knows that Florida has a lot of back roads, so they're really crowded. Anyways, and then my favorite beach is probably Anna Maria Island, but I did grow up in Bradenton before I moved here. So it's very nostalgic for me. And it's my favorite place to watch the sunset.
Sunset.
I do be loving me a good sunset.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what about you?
My favorite beach is actually on the Atlantic side. So we like to go to Vero.
Yes.
And I
love a good sunrise.
Yes. Well, in the waves over there are so much fun. They also have a lifeguard. Not all of the beaches in Florida have lifeguards.
Right.
And I do want to stress that. Mm-hmm. This one, we feel like super safe. The lifeguards are really cool. But that's the big one that we like to go to. And then I was thinking about parks, and the one that kept coming back to me is Vinoy Park in St. Pete. Have you ever been there?
Oh, I have not.
Okay. It's kind of near where they did the big rebuild of the pier. So it's like a mile, like you can just kind of walk between the two. But the park itself is really cool because it's like along this break wall, I guess is what you would call it. And when the tide comes in, the water comes up, the dolphins swim like right up to the break wall.
Fun.
So you can just be like sitting there, like watching the water or eating a snack. And all of a sudden you hear this like sound, and there'll be like a dolphin right there. And that. It's really, really cool. And that's also the park where one of my coworkers, when I first moved here from the bookstore, she brought me and the boys there. Mm-hmm. And she was like, here, take this peanut. And it was like a peanut in a shell. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And I'm just sitting there, and a squirrel like walked up and just like gently took it out of my hands.
He said, thank you.
Yeah, I don't always say, like, normally I'd be like, don't feed the wildlife. But for some reason, everybody at the park, like, this must be like just a normal thing for them. I don't know.
Oh, so but them squirrels,
squirrels, yeah, they were there.
That's fun.
And then I know I do like to hike.
Yes.
But I also, whether it's a paved path like Bonnet Springs, or if it's one where it's more like kind of out there, like Circle B or Seven Wetlands, I do enjoy that kind of stuff. But I'm also still fascinated by the vultures and the plants and the gators. And so I like that very open hiking. But the other one, have you been to the Manatee Viewing Center?
Okay, I've been to a manatee viewing center. I don't know if it's this one that you're talking about.
Okay. So the one that we love is the one in Apollo Beach. They had a huge remodel like a couple years ago. It's absolutely beautiful what they've done over there. And the cool thing, if you're not familiar with Florida, we do get like some cooler weather. And so the manatees have to come into the warm water, and they usually come in where the electric company is. So Tico, they come into that warm water and they cluster there. And a lot of times they'll be like moms and babies. And the Manatee Viewing Center in Apollo Beach, like you can walk up on this bridge and look down, and it's just all manatees.
How fun.
It's
I do
really
love
cool.
manatees.
And they also built a stingray touching station, and it's the Tampa Bay Rays that live there during the off season.
Fun.
And so they care for them there. And then during baseball season, they would go back with
so cool.
the Rays. Yeah. So it's a whole, they all work together, and it's really neat. It's worth the drive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all your travel tips.
Yeah. I do have to say, like, I know that this is the only state that I've lived in, but like, I do love my state. It's fun. There's always something to do. Even when it's raining, there's something to do.
And with that comment, I feel like you can lead us into our first book.
I didn't even think about that. Oh.
So when we were talking about our summer theme of Read Around Florida, and we were kind of getting ready for this episode, I asked Sarah if we could focus on books that have to do with Florida. And so we have selected a small handful of books to share with you all, and I'm going to have Sarah kick us off.
Okay, so the first book is Best State Ever. A Florida Man Defends His Homeland by Dave Barry. And I just think we need to stop for a second, because what should have grabbed your attention when I said that was Florida Man. And if there's anything that Florida is really known for in headlines, Florida Man. Like that right there.
Didn't they make a TV show?
They sure did. They made a TV show, and the memes that I see when it says like Florida Man, and no one will joke about Florida Man more than Floridians.
It's true. Like. You can follow, our sheriff's department?
Yes.
I mean, their Facebook page, you guys.
Hilarious.
I'm not even going to pretend. You just have to look for yourself, because it's crazy. Yeah.
So Bethany actually did this for one of her book clubs. And how did they feel about it?
They loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember who was at the meeting. We were kind of split between people who, kind of like you, born and raised, and have lived in different areas of Florida.
Yeah.
And then you also had a few of us who were transplants. But the entire room, all of us that were discussing it, we had all been to at least a few of the places mentioned in here. And so the conversation and the stories that we shared with each other was amazing.
Yeah. This book is so fun. And this is definitely one that you need to, it's nonfiction, and it's probably one of the books that I've read the quickest. Offensive, but like in the best way.
His self-deprecating jokes when he talked about the villages,
yes.
And because, my adult book club, that is kind of the age bracket. And so all of us, they were just chuckling.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And then he had that rating system. I don't know if some of you were familiar, but he was using those Mold-O-Matic machines as his rating system for different places. Stuff like that was entertaining. He just kind of, I don't know, his personality was all over that book, I think. Oh,
for sure. And he has a great one. So 10 out of 10 recommend that one. A part of me kind of wants to read it again. I might read it again. Yeah. Okay. What about you? Next book.
The first one I started with is called Cattail, The Wild, Weird Battle to Save the Florida Panther by Craig Pittman. And this one, we had it on a display for a while. We had a Florida display a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I love animals, whatever. So I thought I might as well learn more about where I'm living. And so I thought I would give it a chance. And I had no idea some of the animals that were on the original bill to become the state animal. There were a bunch of votes and all that kind of stuff. But can you just take a wild guess about something that might have been on there?
If I were to guess, I would say a bird or something.
Even wilder.
Okay.
A polar bear.
Goodbye.
Honestly.
Where?
Honestly. And, some of the stuff, I guess people were writing in things like camels and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, simmer down. Yeah. We're in Florida.
Right.
Florida. But it was a really interesting look, and kind of like the Dave Barry one, there is a lot of information, but also this great sprinkling of humor. And I didn't quite know this at the time that I read it, but the Florida Panther, it was also like entering like the endangered species list. So I guess there's only like 120 to 230 adult panthers in the wild.
Which is really interesting because I know that we've had like one or two around us because like, people post on Facebook, hey, just heads up. So that's super, super interesting that it's endangered.
Yeah, it was good. And we're doing another one of his books this summer with my adults, and it's called Oh, Florida. So I'll keep you posted. Florida. Yeah, I'm excited about that one.
The amount of times that's come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What's your next one?
All right. So the next one, I just recently read this one, and it's called Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. So this book actually takes place at Florida College. It's based off a very well-known serial killer in real life, but these crimes are not real crimes. The book is fiction, but the entire time that I was reading it, I had to Google.
I remember you stopped.
It felt too real, and I said, hold on.
Yeah, I remember you stopping and like looking at the sticker and then being like, is this fiction or nonfiction?
Oh, yeah. I was so confused.
Did they mislabel it?
Right. The beginning had me hooked, for sure. And then one thing that I really appreciate that the author writes is that she never refers to him as his name, but she actually refers to him as the defendant. And that's it. And so cool. I said, oh, mad respect for that. But it like takes place in the summer of like, not the summer. It just takes place in like 1978, one of the storylines. And then it has a couple different storylines. But hey, set in Florida. Read it,
That's cool. So my next one is Star-Crossed, the story of astronaut Lisa Nowak, and it's by Kimberly C. Moore. This one, it doesn't take place only in Florida, but like the main event was right here in Central Florida. Ooh. So the astronaut drove, think about a relationships and jealousy, and then a drive across several states without stopping. Okay. Until you get to Orlando, and that's where the main event happens.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And it was a really interesting story. When I read it, I knew a couple highlights, but I didn't know the whole story because some of the things that happen, you know how people will take like the wildest part of the story and turn it into a million memes and news articles and whatever. Yes. That's the only part that I knew.
Okay.
So there is a lot in here. Moore is actually a local author too. She worked for the Lakeland Ledger for a long time.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, she's been around the area, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a quick read. And she said the main reason I wrote the book, I covered the criminal case, but from the moment I heard about it, I'm like, how can anyone so accomplished and brilliant basically lower themselves to our level, to a level of a mere mortal, and lose their mind over a man?
Period, sis.
I know. And I was just like, oh, I want to read that.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes, especially with nonfiction, a lot of us, that's what it is, right? It's the curiosity factor. It's the psychology. It's the what in the world happened. Mm-hmm. So that was a fun one. And yeah, that, takes place in Florida and local author, which I think, what do we got? We got multiple local authors already. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What's our next one?
All right. So this one we've both read, which kind of a theme. But that one's Guilty Creatures, Sex, God, and Murder in Tallahassee, Florida by Mikita Brottman. I don't know if I said her name right. But so this one, I devoured it.
You did.
I sure did. I read it because one of our other coworkers read it, and she also devoured it. And while she was reading it, it was like, I love when people scoff while they are reading. So I'm not going to say my full review, only because I do think that it kind of contains a spoiler. But this was my review. This book was a very interesting read. I will for sure be going down a rabbit hole with this case. I can't wait to talk to coworker about it. There's a lot of he said / she said in this case, but what is the truth? So I'm not going to say the next part because originally I was, but then when I thought about it, I said, no, actually, that's kind of a spoiler. So we're going to leave that be. But what did you think?
I enjoyed it as well. So our coworker read it first. I think she read it over like 2 days. Uh-huh. And then you were like, should I read it? And she's like, I think you should. And so then you took 2 days.
Yep.
And then I'm like, well, gosh, now I have to read it. And I was a little busy and it took me 3 days.
Wow.
But I got it done.
Slow reader. Just kidding.
I know. And so here was my review. I said, insurance policies equal red flag. I like that in terms of true crime, it is what they say in romance novels, a closed door version. Just the facts. You can fill in the extras with your own brain if you choose. This was an easy read in terms of true crime. I do have issues with it, though. Well, with the situation. Why are we not fingerprinting the truck, trailer, boat? It's the 2000s, folks. So that was one of my big things. And then I said, I have other issues too, but I'll keep those opinions to myself. Find me if you want to chat about it. And I loved the darkest part about this book for me was this one quote that I just kept thinking about. And it was, but just as a drowned body will rise to the surface, whatever is repressed will always return.
And that's true.
And I don't know, that kept coming back to me. And I just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to add that in. And I don't know, I thought it was a really interesting read. I did not know the case. I realized as I was reading it that I had listened to a podcast episode once. But I think for me with this one, it was the mom. The mom's like never ending. I won't give up. I know there's an answer.
Yeah.
I know we're going to figure this out. Like mom never gave up. And I really felt like that was kind of the driving force through like the whole book for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were an interesting group of people.
Yeah. And it was 18 years before.
It's a long time.
Yeah. That is a very long time. Oof.
Yeah. Oh, so there are tons of books about Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just a couple. It is June right now, and we still have one more month for our Read Around Florida summer.
Yes.
So I would definitely say come visit us at the library. Make sure you check out our window displays. We have some very talented coworkers who have decorated the library. We also are one of the libraries that is participating in the little Visit the Library's challenge that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you go to all the different branches in Polk County and you get your little sticker and all that stuff, so you can come visit us for that. That's been really fun. And I guess the last question I have for you, unless you have anything else, Sarah.
What's your last question?
What are you reading now?
So, of course, sticking with the Florida theme and actually sticking with, we are doing this for film club, The Yearling by Marjorie, Kinnan, Rawlings. Rawlings. Anyways, set in Florida. When I checked it out, there was a patron there and they were like, oh, that's really sad. And I said, okay. I said, whale, kind of a required reading for me. So,
Yep.
That it is what it is.
I've heard it's good though. And I've heard the movie's good. So I feel like it'll be an interesting film club.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What about you?
Also sticking with the Florida theme, I am about to crack open, probably on my lunch break after this, Swamplandia by Karen Russell. And I picked this for one of my book clubs, which is why I'm about to read it. And I just love that it's labeled as a humorous, dysfunctional family drama. And I was like, I'm kind of sold on all of those words right now.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I'm hopeful. I just want to have a fun discussion. I just want to have a good time for the summer. So
that is fun.
Yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Oh, I'm curious if I need to read it after.
I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect.
Definitely. This was really fun. Thank you so much for helping me celebrate summer a little bit, celebrate this great state that we live in. Yeah. Sarah, where can people find us?
Listen, if you have a book about Florida, we want to know. We might want to read it. So share your thoughts with us. Share those books with us. You can always email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. With that,
happy reading, Mulberry.